Hello, namaste. Welcome back to In the Air on CricTracker. मेरा नाम है निवेदना प्रभु. I hope all of you did enjoy that wonderful session, of course, between England and India. हम of course बात करने वाले हैं about the exciting 5 match test series. लेकिन day 1 के हिसाब से क्या हमारे experts के prediction सही रहे या ना रहे? और most importantly, हमारे दोनों experts बहुत ही surprised थे एक player के साथ, but looks like that actually worked out, in favor of India. उसके बारे में भी बात करेंगे, लेकिन अगर आपको कोई क्वेश्चंस है जो पूछना चाहते हैं हमारे एक्सपर्ट से, प्लीज फील फ्री टू पुट दैट इन. एंड विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी मोर टाइम, लेट्स कॉल ऑन आवर फर्स्ट गेस्ट राकेश देवा रेड्डी, हु ऑफ कोर्स इज अ क्रिकेट कोच एज वेल एज क्रिकेट एनालिस्ट. राकेश, ग्रेट टू हैव यू बैक ऑन द शो. सबसे पहले बात करेंगे अबाउट इंडिया का परफॉर्मेंस. कितने खुश हैं आप लुकिंग एट द परफॉर्मेंस?
बहुत बहुत खुश हूँ. बिल्कुल बहुत अच्छा प्रदर्शन किया बॉलर्स ने, और लास्ट सेशन में जो प्रदर्शन किया, 6 विकेट लिया और इंडिया बैटिंग करके विकेट भी नहीं लूज हुआ. सो आई थिंक ओवरऑल it was completely India's day, except that first session, I would say first session England was really trying to just hold the wickets on, but they couldn't hold it. And even in the second session, the partnership was building very well between Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow. Once the partnership was broken, and that's where it started. If you look at the scoreboard, 4 of the batsmen from New Zealand team have scored golden duck, and only one batsman, Joe Root, the captain, scored a half century, and that was his 50th half century, and he being the highest run scorer for England. Except there's a couple of things which went in favor of England. I think it was completely India's day. Right now, India is in driver's seat, and they have to utilize this thing. The day 1 performance to a great extent, and get that high advantage on day 2, and at least put some a lead of maybe some 50 to 100 runs on day 2. Then India will be in a comfortable position. But all those things we have to see on day 2. But just sticking to day 1, it is completely India's bowlers domination, I would say.
Okay, of course, we will be talking in detail about Indian bowlers. Lekin usse pehle, let's get on our next guest, Pratyay Tiwari, who's joining us back once again on the show. Pratyay also is going to be a very, happy man after making that predictions that he did. So, Pratyay, getting you back on the show, कैसे लग रहा है आपको? एक पहली बात तो ये है, of course, इंडिया की परफॉर्मेंस के बारे में हम थोड़ा डिटेल में जाएंगे. But do you think quite a 50-50 kind of performance from Team England अगर देखा जाए तो?
Maybe not even 50-50, because after the kind of partnership they were having, again, this is an old habit of England. They collapse a lot of times, and I think in their home conditions and home advantage, they would be extremely disappointed. As much as they would be disappointed, India would be extremely happy, because if I were Virat Kohli at the toss, and you're telling me that I've lost my 7th consecutive toss in England, and I'm going to bowl first in good conditions, and the bowlers are going to get the opponent's 183 for 10, 183 all out, I'm going to take that any day. So I think India is definitely the happier side, and bowlers definitely made it a day for India.
Right. Of course, talking about bowlers, like I said, and also, that captain decision, because बहुत सारे लोग सोच रहे थे कि ये क्या strategy है? Why have they not taken Ravichandran Ashwin and Ishant Sharma? So when everybody was asking those questions, we guess it's pretty much been answered now. Having said that, before we get into the details of the bowling summary of Team India, let's take a quick look at the scorecard as to where both the teams end today on day 1. Of course, in terms of the scorecard, if you could take a look at the scorecard for England as well as India. Before, I come to that, of course, 183, like just Pratyay pointed out. And when it comes to India, of course, 21 for 0 in 13 overs. मैं बात करना चाहती हूँ KL Rahul के बारे में, Rakesh. A lot of the comments जो मैं देख रही थी social media पे is the fact that उनका जो, the fact that Test is one aspect of it. Also having, opened with Rohit Sharma for whatever circumstances that is, it feels like he's debuting all over, again, that kind of expectations that's coming. That's what I was reading on social media. क्या आप उससे सहमत है?
See, if you look at KL Rahul's career overall, it is like that. He whenever the team requires somebody to open the innings, they just look at KL Rahul. And whenever they want somebody to keep the wickets, they look at KL Rahul. Whenever they want to get somebody in the middle order, if there is nobody performing, then they look at KL Rahul. In fact, if Mayank was not injured, we would have seen KL batting in the middle order, and in fact he was very happy to bat in the middle order. This was a instant where he was like pushed to open the innings. Otherwise, he was a little bit hesitant to open the innings. That was the internal sources which we were hearing. But there was no
Yeah.
choice, because otherwise, if you are not opening the innings, then nothing you can do, because team wants you to open. And he more often we have seen him commenting or talking in the press meet, saying that I don't mind batting at any position, whatever the position team wants me, because I just want to be in the team. That's what it is. But I don't think it's like, yes, like you pointed out, saying like it's like a debut game for him. Yes, because he has been there with the team. He toured Australia. He didn't get a chance. He was there with the Indian team when England toured India. He didn't play. So eight test matches he was there with Team India, but he couldn't get a chance in the playing 11. But the good thing is, before this test match, the 3 day practice match which India played, he managed to score a 3 digit score. That really helps him. I think that was a positive thing. And if you look at today's batting in 13 overs, both of them, Rohit and Rahul, both of them look very solid, very comfortable, very compact. I think they just
Yeah.
want to stick there and try to be there as long as possible, because I mean, runs are nothing to worry, because if these two guys can stick on there, get that momentum, understand the pitch, and get used to that pitch, obviously these two can easily score runs. So it's very clear. I can see that both of them just want to stick there as long as possible.
Right. And that, of course, Pratay had spoken earlier about the fact that England did have at least that one partnership going. And then, of course, then they collapsed, like how he pointed out. But let's come back to, the brilliant performance by Indian bowlers. If you could take a look at that. And Pratay, मैं आपसे आना चाहती हूँ इसके बारे में. One player जो हम ना डिस्कस नहीं कर सकते हैं, शार्दुल ठाकुर. That choice of having gone for him. There was so much about कि क्या हो रहा था वहाँ उनके साथ गए, but seems like at the end of the day, of course, he has managed to get those 2 wickets, also with an economy rate of 3.2. तो आप उसको कैसे view करते हो? Are you ultimately happy with Virat Kohli's choice?
Yes, definitely. See, in the hindsight, we always get to agree with a lot of things. We either might have gone to disagree in case he would not have managed to pick those wickets. But
Yeah.
yes, at the time of toss, it was definitely quite surprising to not have Ashwin in there, and maybe for that matter, even Ishant Sharma not in there. But I think
Yeah.
that overall his move actually paid off in the end, because he got an important wicket off Joe Root. I think that he was I mean, without a doubt, he was the best batsman from the opponent camp. So I think that he would be pleased by the performance as a captain, and even Shardul Thakur himself would be pleased. But I think the more important for India is that both Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah got back into wickets, because Bumrah again was it was a bit of a lean patch. You would not actually say a lean patch, but when you look at someone who has that kind of a reputation that he has,
Yeah.
you would not expect that he would go wicketless for even a single inning. And this was
Right.
in this game he was coming after three wicketless innings. So I think that getting 3-4 wickets, that is something that India wants him to do and needs him to do more often. So I think that apart from Shardul Thakur, a lot of credit to both these men, Bumrah and Shami as well.
Right. मैं राकेश से actually आना चाहती थी about Bumrah, especially after the fact that वो इतना discussion हुआ था about his form in the World Test Championship final. It doesn't seem like that was actually too far away, because looking at जैसे कि उन्होंने आज perform किया है, if you could take a quick look again at Bumrah's performance as well as Shami's performance, Rakesh, even his economy. Let's talk about Bumrah first. Quite brilliant over there.
Absolutely, because like you mentioned, many of them are saying that okay, this guy is done. He's out of form. He's not taking wickets. His wicket taking ability has gone down. This must be a very relieving performance when we talk about Jasprit Bumrah taking 4 wickets and giving that. I mean, it's putting India in a comfortable position with your performance is always what a bowler expects when you're bowling. So I think he must
Yeah.
be really happy with the way he has bowled and gave the breakthrough. I mean, that was very important breakthrough, taking the first wicket in the initial half an hour. First half an hour always it's very important when you're playing a test match every day, not just on day one, but every day. Taking quick wickets in the first half an hour or 1 hour is really important. And when you're playing the test match first day, taking wickets, that really
Yeah.
helps. And I mean, I think he'll be definitely happy, and even the team management will be happy with the way Jasprit Bumrah has bowled in today's game. And if you look at Anderson, I mean, the way he got Anderson out, he got him out by
Yeah.
bowling his Yorker, which we usually used to see Jasprit Bumrah doing very often. In the recent past, we have not seen that, but I think this is a good sign for all Jasprit Bumrah's fans, they have witnessed a good Yorkers from Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah, like so back in action basically, and of course
Yeah,
lots more to see of him. Hopefully, to gain that momentum, because like Rakesh said, and even Pratyay has said this, which is quite interesting, right? If a cricketer performs well, then you're like, okay, great. It was just a bad day. It was just a bad. It was just a bad tournament. And of course, if they're performing exceptionally well, then they're lauded by saying, oh, this is the next superstar, which is interesting. I mean, that's also it shows how much fans are passionate about every cricketer who plays for the country, and they follow it so closely, which is wonderful to see. Because speaking about that, we have a person called Dapke Narayan who has said, "Hi Nivedna, Rohit 100 मारेगा." He's 100% confidence that ये होने वाला है. तो प्रति मैं आपसे आना चाहती हूँ, considering of course India still has to continue the session tomorrow. Is there pressure? I mean, I know you say that, in terms of cricketers will not think about the numbers, milestones, and things like that. But with the form that he's been in Test cricket overseas, do you see that there's a little more pressure for Rohit to perform?
Yeah, that's what we were even discussing in the pre-show, that when you go to England and if you're an opener, of course, there's a lot of pressure because of the conditions, the kind of help that the bowlers have. The opponent camp has a bunch of great bowlers. So of course,
Yeah.
it is going to have a little bit on his mind. But if you see the 30, 40 odd balls that he played, and not just him, in fact, even KL Rahul, Rakesh pointed out correctly that he got 100, and that of course helps his confidence. But both the
Yeah.
batsmen were very, very cautious. It was a clear case that they were not worried about anyway about runs, because they know that there is not a lot that England has managed to score. And I think that if India could even get a 100-run lead, or maybe a 75, 80-run lead, it can actually prove on to be decisive. So I think that this is a brilliant chance, because the bowlers have absolutely set a brilliant platform for you. There's not a lot of pressure. If you're 300 trailing by 300, 350 in these kind of conditions, it's a completely different ball game, because then you have a lot of pressure over your mind. So here, if they can
Right.
maybe add on to something like a 100-run partnership. I was even listening on the broadcast, one of the commentators pointing out that India has not had an overseas partnership of 100 runs as for openers since 2011. So I think that if they could even get on to something like an 80 or 100-run partnership, that will be putting India into a really strong position. Today,
Yeah.
by the looks of it, 12 overs, 13 overs towards the end of it, they were very composed, which was great to see. Not trying to anything fancy, not chasing the ball apart from the one over where Sam Curran came in. Very disciplined against both Broad and Anderson. So I think they paid the respect, and that actually eventually paid them off as well by managing to get their wickets secured by the end of the day. So that is really important.
अगर ये कंटिन्यू होगा या नहीं देखना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज वी ऑल्सो इफ यू रिवाइंड लिटिल बिट टू वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप फाइनल, वही हुआ था. द स्टार्ट वाज ग्रेट, एवरीबॉडी वाज ऑफ कोर्स रूटिंग फॉर सर्टेन पार्टनरशिप्स, एंड द नेक्स्ट थिंग इट वाज कोलैप्सिंग. लेकिन जहां पे रोहित शर्मा के फैंस 100 के बारे में बात करेंगे, वहां पे तो कोहली के फैंस भी सेंचुरी के बारे में बात करेंगे. सो वी हैव सत्यम सिंह, राकेश, जो बोल रहे हैं कि अगर कोहली 71st सेंचुरी मार देगा तो मजा आ जाएगा. ऑफ कोर्स टीम इंडिया के फैंस के तो मजा आएगा ही. But more than his century, I want to talk about something very interesting that happened today. How can we not discuss the Pant and Kohli review decision? Rakesh, how do you view that as a cricket coach, as a cricket analyst, as well as just, of course, follower of the game? आप कैसे view करते हैं ऐसे moments को?
So generally, I mean, this is a very, very important and very good thing to discuss when you are doing coaching, or when you are just trying to when you are mentoring a player, particularly at the national level or international level, because the DRS is really, really important in terms of taking the reviews. So as a keeper, generally what happens is your keeper doesn't stand right behind the stumps; they stand slightly towards the off stump. So they generally, he is the person who can get a proper view. So what happens exactly is one simple thing, and one example what I can give how you can generally say whether the ball is going on the leg side or whether the ball is going over the bails is, let's say if the ball is, once the ball hits the pads, if the ball is going towards the fine leg, that means the ball is slightly going towards the leg side, because it hits on the back side of the pad or maybe on the outside of the pad. If the ball is going slightly in front or maybe towards square leg mid wicket, that means the ball is hitting in front of the pad. But the important thing is the keeper has to have that awareness where the batsman is taking the stance, whether he's taking leg stump guard, whether he's taking middle stump guard, whether he's taking middle and leg, or whether he's having a shuffle movement back and across, or whether he's having a shuffle movement just across. So these are all the things which keeper has to have and keep in mind how the batsman is moving in the crease. That is something
Right.
which has come up, and especially I was talking to Deep Das Gupta, who was also doing analysis in our CricTracker. I was talking to him, and he was telling that in the coaching, I mean, in the coaching sessions for especially for keepers, maybe at Ranji Trophy level or maybe at international level, they have to practice that, looking at the batsmen how they are moving. I think that's a great idea how the keepers can really get, because not everybody can be Dhoni and not everybody can be
I was
smart
actually
like.
going to say that, right?
Yeah,
That's why it's called the Dhoni review system.
yeah.
Otherwise,
That,
you know,
that's a good
yeah,
way
Rakesh,
how a keeper can really get used to taking that decisions of review when your captain looks at you or when your bowler looks at you, because it's not an easy job. Everybody
yeah,
thinks that keeper has the best view, but I mean, it's not that easy, because you have to really know all those things, where the ball is pitching and all those things, but especially you have to really have that awareness how the batsman is moving in the crease. That is something
right.
not many people, or not many, we don't really see this discussion happening even in the between the broadcasters, which the live games are coming as well. I think at some point
Right.
of time they will definitely do the discussion about this thing particularly.
And
Well, if all
just to add one more point to that, just a couple of balls before that, India had actually burnt a review. So having that
right,
confidence in
I
yourself
was actually
and
going to come to you about that. That
right,
after having that, then to be again
exactly,
confident about it says a
true.
lot, right?
Exactly, because he insisted. Because if you see that Kohli was not actually very keen on getting onto that review. He was asking maybe the close-in fielders as well as the bowlers. He was
Yeah,
confirming कि bat laga tha ya nahi tha. But he insisted on that, and it worked. So it just shows that he was aware about the situation. And these kind of things, at times can actually turn the match entirely, because these are the things that scorecards would not tell you. If you would have probably missed on that opportunity, and the
right.
batsman might have all gone on to score something like a 50 or 70, could have maybe even changed the entire course of the match. So I think that these kind of awareness, and these are the little things which can actually make a huge difference at the end of the day.
Right. So, of course, everybody is glad that Pant did beat COVID-19 and managed to come, in this match and create the magic that he did, that, of course, he's known for. But before I wrap up for the day, there's a question from Rushan Pai about Siraj. In his opinion, or rather, the question is, why was Siraj struggling today? Who would want to take that? Pratay, do you want to answer that?
I would not say exactly struggling. At times, what happens is that if you remember 2018, Mohammad Shami, there was even a stat that I was just having a look at, that he induced a lot of false shots, but he was not able to get wickets. And that is when you start to term a bowler just unlucky. There are occasions when today, the ball was beating past the edge, but he managed to get a catch on short mid wicket very easily. It was almost a case that there was a fielder and the batsman managed to find it. So at times that
Right.
these kind of things can happen. Luck might not favor you. There might be a dropped catch. There could be a LBW decision that might end up in the umpire's call. So these kind of
Yeah.
things can happen. I would not say that Siraj was lacking exactly the kind of bite that we expect him from, but it's a long series and he has been backed by the captain included in the first test match. Personally, I was not
Yeah.
expecting that to happen. So I think that he's someone who has got a lot. He brings onto the table. He can seam the ball, swing the ball, bounce it as well. So I think that this series is something that will see him coming brightly. So maybe guessing him just by one inning or one match, it would not be the correct
It's
thing to
not
do.
right. And Rakesh, would you like to add something to that before we wrap up in terms of,
Yeah, yeah,
that question?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, it's just that one innings you can't really judge a bowler, because he's a bowler who is in form.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's just that it didn't really work out for him, and it worked out for the other bowlers, because all of the bowlers are fast bowlers except Jadeja, and he hardly bowled 5 overs, less than 5 overs, I guess. Just that it didn't work out for him. Otherwise, I mean, he did take a wicket as well. You can't say
Yeah.
it was not his day. He did
Exactly. Yeah.
take a wicket, yeah.
Okay, so of course, the exciting times for a lot of those youngsters, because also that discussion about how Kohli is interacting with all those youngsters, and encouraging them when they get a wicket, or it's nice to see that Team India is just giving an opportunity to also to cricket fans to see how they're coming back with every tour, even if the fact that we did, of course, have that wonderful Sri Lanka India series as well, where we got to see so much of young talent, and even now it just keeps to you continuing, which just shows the quality of Indian cricket. But having said that, this is going to be one really long series, but it's also exciting. So every time, it's exciting for our experts also to come on the show and give us their predictions and their analysis, which we always enjoy. So we're hoping on that note, all of you who joined us today have enjoyed our experts giving their opinions. They will be back once again on our show tomorrow. So do not forget to join us, and we will discuss everything, of course, to do with the England-India series. Once again, until then, see you tomorrow.